The history of the American Wild West is one of the most influential and controversial chapters in the history of the United States. It is often associated with cowboys, frontier towns, gold rushes, and famous outlaws. However, behind these popular images lies a much more complex story involving territorial expansion, political ambition, economic opportunity, conflict, and the displacement of Native American peoples. One of the central ideas that shaped westward expansion was manifest destiny, the belief that the United States was destined to expand across the North American continent. While many Americans viewed this expansion as progress, it came at a tremendous cost to Native American nations whose lands, cultures, and ways of life were profoundly disrupted. This report examines the origins of the Wild West, the ideology of manifest destiny, and the experiences of Native Americans during the 19th century. What was the Wild West? The term Wild West refers to the western frontier of the United States during the 19th century, particularly between the early 1800s and the end of the century. As the nation expanded westward, settlers entered territories that had previously been inhabited primarily by Native American tribes and a small number of European traders. The frontier was characterized by rapid settlement, construction of railroads, mining booms, cattle ranching, agricultural development, military forts, frequent conflicts over land. Although movies often portray the Wild West as lawless and violent, historians note that many frontier communities developed functioning governments and legal systems surprisingly quickly. Nevertheless, violence between settlers, criminals, Native Americans, and the military was a recurring feature of frontier life. The idea of manifest destiny. Manifest destiny was a political and cultural belief that emerged during the 1840s. The term was first used by journalist John L. O'Sullivan in 1845. He argued that Americans had a divine mission to spread democracy, freedom, and civilization across the continent from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean. Supporters believed that expansion was natural, beneficial, morally justified, supported by God. Manifest destiny encouraged settlement of Western lands, annexation of new territories, economic growth, expansion of agriculture, construction of transportation networks. However, critics argued that it justified conquest, discrimination, and war. Causes of westward expansion. Several factors encouraged Americans to move west. Economic opportunities. Many settlers hoped to obtain inexpensive farmland. The fertile lands of the Midwest and Great Plains attracted thousands of farming families. Gold rushes. The discovery of gold dramatically increased migration. Important gold rushes included California Gold Rush, 1848 to 1849, Colorado Gold Rush, Black Hills Gold Rush. Thousands of prospectors traveled west seeking wealth, although only a small percentage became rich. Population growth. The rapidly growing population created demand for more land and resources. Government policies. The federal government actively promoted settlement through laws such as the Homestead Act of 1862, which granted land to settlers willing to live on and improve it. Transportation. The completion of the Transcontinental Railroad in 1869 greatly reduced travel time and connected eastern markets with western territories. Native Americans before European expansion. Long before European colonization, North America was home to hundreds of Native American nations with distinct languages, cultures, religions, and political systems. Major cultural groups included Plains tribes, Pueblo peoples, Eastern Woodlands nations, Northwest Coast peoples, Great Basin tribes, Arctic peoples. Some well-known tribes include Cherokee, Sioux, Lakota, Dakota, Nakota, Apache, Navajo, Comanche, Blackfeet, Nez Perce. Each nation possessed unique traditions and governance systems. Many Plains tribes depended heavily upon the American buffalo for food, clothing, shelter, and tools. The Indian removal policy. Even before the settlement of the Far West, Native Americans faced forced relocation. The Indian Removal Act of 1830, signed by President Andrew Jackson, authorized the removal of many southeastern tribes from their ancestral lands. thousands of Native Americans were forced westward along routes collectively known as the Trail of Tears. The Cherokee suffered especially severe losses. Thousands died from disease, starvation, exposure, exhaustion. Today, the Trail of Tears is remembered as one of the darkest episodes in American history. Conflict between settlers and Native Americans. As settlers moved westward, competition over land intensified. Major causes of conflict included land ownership, hunting grounds, buffalo destruction, railroad construction, military expansion, broken treaties. Many treaties signed between Native nations and the U.S. government were later violated as new settlers demanded additional land. The destruction of buffalo herds had devastating consequences for Plains tribes. By the late 19th century, millions of buffalo had been killed, destroying the economic foundation of many Native communities. The Indian Wars. The Indian Wars were a series of military conflicts between Native American nations and the United States during the 19th century. Some notable conflicts include Red Cloud's War, 1866 to 1868. One of the few conflicts in which Native forces successfully forced the U.S. government to negotiate favorable terms. Battle of the Little Bighorn, 1876. Often called Custer's Last Stand. A coalition led by Lakota leader Sitting Bull and war leader Crazy Horse defeated Lieutenant Colonel George Armstrong Custer and the 7th Cavalry. Although this was a significant Native victory, it prompted even stronger military campaigns against the Plains tribes. Nez Perce War, 1877. Led by Chief Joseph, the Nez Perce attempted to escape to Canada but were eventually forced to surrender after an extraordinary retreat of more than 1,000 miles. Wounded Knee Massacre, 1890. One of the final major events of the Indian Wars. More than 250 Lakota men, women, and children were killed by U.S. troops. Many historians consider Wounded Knee the symbolic end of the American frontier conflicts. Life on reservations. Following military defeat, many Native Americans were confined to reservations. Reservation life often involved poverty, food shortages, limited economic opportunities, government control, cultural suppression. Children were frequently sent to boarding schools where they were forbidden from speaking their native languages or practicing traditional customs. The government's goal was assimilation into mainstream American society. Many Native cultures nevertheless survived despite these policies. Cowboys and cattle drives. The image of the cowboy became one of the defining symbols of the Wild West. Cowboys worked on cattle ranches and participated in long cattle drives from Texas to railroad towns in Kansas. Their duties included herding cattle, repairing fences, branding livestock, protecting herds, crossing rivers and difficult terrain. Contrary to popular myth, cowboys came from diverse backgrounds, including white Americans, African Americans, Mexican vaqueros, Native Americans. Their daily work was physically demanding and often dangerous. Lawmen and outlaws. Frontier towns sometimes attracted criminals, gamblers, and cattle rustlers. Famous lawmen included Wyatt Earp, Bat Masterson, Wild Bill Hickok. Well-known outlaws included Billy the Kid, Jesse James, Butch Cassidy, Sundance Kid. Although popular culture exaggerates frequent gunfights, many Western towns enforced strict gun control ordinances that helped reduce violence. The closing of the frontier. By 1890, the U.S. Census Bureau declared that the American frontier no longer existed as a distinct line of settlement. Railroads connected the country. Most available farmland had been claimed. Native resistance had largely ended. Large cities and modern industries replaced many frontier settlements. This marked the end of the traditional Wild West era. Historical legacy. The legacy of the Wild West remains complex. Positive outcomes included national expansion, economic growth, agricultural development, railroad construction, increased trade, population growth. Negative consequences included loss of Native American lands, forced removals, cultural destruction, broken treaties, environmental damage, mass killing of buffalo, Today, historians seek to present a more balanced understanding of Western expansion by considering multiple perspectives rather than only the experiences of settlers. Native American communities continue to preserve their languages, traditions, and cultures while advocating for treaty rights, historical recognition, and self-determination. Women on the American frontier. Although the Wild West is often associated with cowboys and soldiers, women played an essential role in settling the frontier. Women worked as farmers, ranchers, teachers, doctors, business owners, and homemakers. Frontier life was physically demanding, and families often depended on everyone contributing to daily work. Some women became famous for breaking traditional gender roles. Calamity Jane was known for her skills as a scout and rider, while Annie Oakley gained international fame as an expert sharpshooter in Buffalo Bill's Wild West show. Thousands of other women, though less well-known, helped establish schools, churches, and communities throughout the West. Life for frontier women could be lonely and dangerous. Medical care was limited, travel was difficult, and many families lived far from neighbors. Despite these hardships, women played a crucial part in building permanent settlements. Immigration and cultural diversity. The settlement of the American West involved people from many different backgrounds. Besides settlers from the eastern United States, immigrants from Europe, Asia, and Latin America helped shape Western society. Chinese immigrants were especially important in constructing the Transcontinental Railroad. Working under extremely harsh conditions, they blasted tunnels through mountains, laid tracks across deserts, and completed some of the most difficult sections of the railway. Despite their contributions, Chinese workers often faced discrimination, violence, and unfair labor practices. These tensions eventually led to the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882, the first major U.S. law restricting immigration based on nationality. Mexican Americans also played a major role in ranching and agriculture. Many cowboy traditions, including the use of lassos, saddles, and cattle driving techniques, originated with Mexican vaqueros, whose knowledge strongly influenced American ranching. African Americans contributed significantly as soldiers, ranchers, cowboys, and settlers. After the Civil War, many formerly enslaved people moved west in search of greater opportunities. African American cavalry units known as the Buffalo Soldiers served in the U.S. Army, building roads, protecting settlements, and participating in campaigns during the Indian Wars. The environmental impact of westward expansion. Westward expansion dramatically transformed the natural environment. The construction of railroads, mining operations, logging camps, and expanding farmland changed millions of acres of forests, grasslands, and rivers. Wildlife populations declined as habitats disappeared. Perhaps the greatest environmental tragedy involved the American buffalo. Before European settlement, an estimated 30 to 60 million buffalo roamed the Great Plains. By the late 19th century, commercial hunting and government policies had reduced their numbers to only a few hundred animals. The destruction of buffalo herds devastated plains tribes whose economies and cultures depended upon these animals. Buffalo provided food, clothing, shelter materials, tools, and spiritual significance. Their near extinction became both an environmental disaster and a humanitarian crisis. Myths and reality of the Wild West. Popular culture has greatly influenced public understanding of the Wild West. Hollywood films, television series, novels, and video games often portray constant gunfights, bank robberies, and dramatic showdowns. While such events did occur, historians argue that everyday frontier life usually revolved around ordinary work. Most settlers spent their time farming, raising livestock, building homes, operating businesses, attending schools and churches, participating in local government. Similarly, Native Americans were often stereotyped in early Western films as enemies of civilization. Modern scholarship emphasizes the diversity of Native nations and recognizes their complex political systems, diplomatic relationships, and cultural achievements. Native American resistance and cultural survival. Despite military defeat and government assimilation policies, Native American cultures survived. Many tribes preserved their traditions through oral history, ceremonies, art, language, and community leadership. Elders continued teaching younger generations about their heritage even when government schools attempted to suppress indigenous cultures. Beginning in the 20th century, Native American activism gained momentum. Important developments included greater tribal self-government, protection of religious freedom, preservation of native languages, cultural revitalization programs, legal victories regarding treaty rights, increased political representation. Today, more than 570 federally recognized tribes exist within the United States, each maintaining its own government and cultural identity. Manifest destiny in historical debate. Historians continue to debate the meaning and consequences of manifest destiny. Some scholars argue that westward expansion strengthened the United States by creating new economic opportunities, increasing agricultural production, and establishing the country as a continental power. Others emphasize that expansion involved conquest, forced displacement, and violations of Native American sovereignty. They argue that the ideology of manifest destiny often ignored the rights of people already living in the territories being settled. Modern historical scholarship generally seeks to understand both perspectives. Rather than portraying expansion as entirely heroic or entirely destructive, historians examine its economic, political, military, cultural, and human consequences. Lasting influence on American identity. The Wild West continues to influence American culture and identity. Its symbols appear in literature, movies, television, music, sports teams, tourism, national parks, museums. Ideas associated with the frontier, such as independence, self-reliance, courage, and exploration, remain important elements of American national identity. At the same time, greater public awareness of Native American history has encouraged museums, schools, and historical sites to present more balanced interpretations of westward expansion. Many former battlefields, reservations, and historic trails are now protected as national monuments or historic sites, helping preserve this complex history for future generations. The story of the Wild West is not simply a tale of adventure and exploration. It is a history of ambition, migration, conflict, innovation, and cultural change. Manifest destiny inspired millions of Americans to seek new opportunities across the continent, contributing to the growth of the United States into a major nation. However, this expansion also resulted in profound consequences for Native American peoples. Forced removal, warfare, broken treaties, and cultural suppression reshaped indigenous societies in lasting ways. Recognizing these experiences provides a fuller understanding of American history.